Do you know that the etymology of the word perfect actually means complete? The same as Om Purnamada Purnamadaya, the same thing, the fullness. Perfect means whole, full, and complete. And the fact is, you are already perfect. Perfect. Nothing less than perfect. You are already whole and complete. It's important to really understand and affirm that truth, even if it's not completely in your belief system just yet. Because the way we got to believe in the first place is by it being shared with us, how we're less than perfect, or the misunderstanding of what perfect is. Because what do most call perfect? What is perfect? Judgment, no flaws,
no mistakes,
make no mistakes. That's all a human construct, isn't it? Because how do I measure what a mistake is? How do I really determine that? Me as human has set up a construct of how I want something to go. If it doesn't go that way, it's a mistake. It's a fail. Well, the human set that up. And the part of the human that set that up wasn't the wisdom, right? It was Ajmita. It was the identification with ego and what I think might be that. But the fact is, people will say I'm a perfectionist. Oh, I got this problem. I'm a perfectionist. No, it's not really a problem, because I hope you are, because I hope that your main goal is to see yourself as whole and complete. Because to me, when I hear perfectionist, it's like I refuse to see myself as anything other than whole and complete. But what that means for most people is nothing's ever good enough. I got this problem. Things are never, ever good enough. And based on what? I'm judging myself all the time. It's this construct. It's complete illusion based on human perception. It's based on information, based on data. Whose data? Whose information? And what we know is that a consciousness that is filled with data, not that there's anything wrong with information and data, but it's understanding that is not the truth of who we are. They're just constructs that can get in the way and become a stranglehold to being a creator, because we use data and information to decide if we passed or we failed, if we're good enough. We do need to have a way to talk with one another that we might say, yeah, I passed that test, I failed that test. But that is just data. It's just data. It's information. It's not intelligence. It's not who you are. It's not a measure of your worth, you compared to other people. And it's having that capacity to have that discernment to be able to see. You cannot discover and own the fact that you are the creator of the next iteration that you are to unfold. It's not to fix, change, or improve. There's this unfoldment, like concentric circles, when we're living our lives, growing the way we're meant to grow, because we're all alive when we're meant to grow. Panaji just says it. If you're not growing, you will suffer. And it's as though you are the living dead when you're not growing. Because when if a tree stops growing, if a plant stops growing, if the container gets to a point that the plant can't grow anymore, does the plant stay alive or does it die? It's going to die, because eventually it's reached its limits. Because when we stop growing, the message is, I'm done. I'm complete. And what that says to our nervous system is, oh, okay, it's time for us to start to withdraw prana if we're done, if we're complete. And so it's being able to really keep data in its place, and the data of, I failed, I'm so ashamed. It's just information that can inform you. But when it becomes leading edge, that's what true artificial intelligence is, data. Real artificial intelligence is just this data that's all around in our consciousness. The next piece of really being able to understand what it means to own ourselves as a creator is embracing Ishvara Pranidhana and the teachings of Brahmacharya. and understanding brahmacharya is our capacity to raise ourselves into a state of supreme consciousness. And the reason you see it associated with sexuality and sexual energy so much is very much because of the way we use sexual energy, negotiate, to transact, to get approval, to get loved, to get what we want. If I'm engaged in a sexual relationship with someone, I'm going to give this body to you because I'm expecting I'm going to get this thing. For the most part, it's a lot transactional. And so brahmacharya, it's often associated with that, because when we have learned to sublimate sexual energy, that's when we move into the experience or the sadhana of brahmacharya, the sadhana of supreme consciousness. Not supreme like hierarchical, but I'm moving into alignment, and I then have access to supreme consciousness. I'm not all blocked by all of this transacting. I am now digesting sexual energy. And then the concept of Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender. Well, what are we surrendering in the practice of Ishvara Pranidhana? So these two concepts are very, very important, because they very much point to the creator. We're not talking about an anthropomorphic creator, but it's important to understand that when we're speaking of supreme consciousness, we're speaking of omniscient reality. God, Goddess, omniscient reality, the force that contains all that is. And when we are able to align with that completely and fully, then we are aligned with what is referred to as Ritam Prajna, or Prajna Ritam, which is the eternal knowledge. But if we're filled with information, we're filled with data, and we're just running our lives and creating that way, we're never really aligned with that sustainability. And one of the primary things that we're going to discuss tonight is, what are we actually aligning with? The two main words that we generally align with is worth and approval. Challenges to our own worth. Do we feel worthy in the face of rejection? There's about 8 billion people. If all of a sudden you woke up tomorrow and you were literally hated by 8 billion people, would you feel worthy? I mean, if you just woke up tomorrow and got one phone call, if somebody said, I don't like you anymore, would you feel worthy? Because the truth is, understanding that as long as your sense of existence, aliveness, worth, quality of your day, decision on whether or not you're going to follow your sankalpa, if it is relying on whether or not you are liked or not, you're screwed, because you are absolutely not aligned with Ishvara Pranidhana and Brahmacharya. These two concepts are not going to be a reality for you until you could really say, if I woke up tomorrow morning and absolutely everybody just literally hated me, and I got negative reviews written everywhere, and people were saying ugly things about me and all of that, it's going to hurt really bad, but you know what? I know who I am. And there's only one way that my worth and my value is determined, and that's through alignment. And I must understand that alignment, and being in that alignment, in that brahmacharya, that state of supreme consciousness, that the only way that I am going to know truly and to have that capacity to understand that I am the creator is I'm really going to have to get, where am I able to live in true devotion, or am I looking for validation? So let's say you're someone that you're really great at doing a lot of nice things for people, but the truth is, you'd be pretty pissed if you didn't get a thank you. Well, let's say you do it every day of your life for 10 years, not one bit of appreciation. What happens to you? You feel quite justified in blaming. I'm not getting one bit of appreciation. I'm not getting, well, you don't deserve it. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how much you give. If you want to know yourself as creator and you want to align in brahmacharya and you want to be a yogi, you're going to have to really embody this and understand what this means, because alignment does not happen through seeking a validation. As long as I'm living in that place of approval, validation, my worth, comes from others, and I'm living in a transactional way, guess what's going to happen to your self-concept? You're going to stay locked within that same self-concept, because all of that validation and all that approval that you're seeking, you're going to set up a system for yourself, a nice system. Some of you already have that system. You've married the system. You've created the system within your home, within, your partners, your kids, your family. It's sort of a tree, like the family tree. You put under each person's name what role they play in the validation, self-worth giving and handing out process. You'd see it very clearly. I don't think we take this seriously enough. I know everybody hears me and you're like, yeah, I get that, but I don't know what I would do. Well, you've got to begin working with yourself first, because you're not going to change others. But when you yourself start to shift, everything around you starts to change.